right, so hi everyone, and welcome to our very first installment of the LSCDS Coffee Break Spotlights. My name is Kyla Germain. I'm the current lead of the writing team at the LSCDS, and today it's my pleasure to sit down with one of our alumni, Dr. Anastassia Pogoutse. Anastassia completed her PhD in the Department of Biochemistry with Dr. Trevor Moraes, and later she went on to work as a research assistant and a grant writer at Harvard Medical School. And most recently, she's returned to Toronto and is currently serving as the Strategic Research Development Officer at the University of Toronto, Mississauga's Office of the Vice Principal of Research. So it's kind of a mouthful. Thank you so much for joining us, Anastassia.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Strategic Research Development Officer sounds like a really incredible position, but I have to admit I don't fully understand exactly what it entails. So would you mind beginning by just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about your role with UTM?
Sure. Yeah. So hi everyone. My name is Anna, and a Strategic Research Development Officer is a mouthful, and basically what I do is I support the development of research programs of UTM's faculty. And in practice, what that means is that I do things like reviewing grant applications prior to submission, or even helping with the writing of some very large collaborative grant proposals. It can also mean identifying grant or awards opportunities and communicating them to faculty and helping faculty members sort of apply for them, guiding them through those application processes. It can also mean organizing and leading workshops on grant writing and related topics, among other things.
Cool. Thanks for expanding on that. It sounds like an interesting intersection between kind of research and more like university and research administration.
Yeah.
So in that kind of line of thought, did you always know throughout graduate school that you were aiming towards a career in sort of research administration, or were there any pivotal moments during your early career that led you to think, oh, I might be well suited for a job in this space?
Yeah, so in graduate school, I did not know that I was interested in this kind of career. What I was interested in was science writing and science communication more broadly. So I was thinking about science journalism, or even working as a science editor. And my first full-time job out of grad school was, as you mentioned, working as a grant writer. And I really enjoyed that job. I liked the writing part of it. I liked the working with researchers and helping them with progressing through their work. But there was no obvious sort of forward path. Like I wasn't going to be promoted to any position there. So there wasn't this obvious kind of progress that I could look to. So I started to think about what I would want to do in the future. And I went to this, it was a virtual sort of career day, and unfortunately I don't remember which organization organized it, but I saw this talk by someone who works for a university in Canada. I can't quite remember which one, it might have been U of A, and she has a job very similar to kind of what I do now, where she supports sort of the writing of grant proposals, and she provides feedback on them, and she works with researchers in many different fields. And I thought that was really, really interesting and something I was interested in doing. And I first started to look into what that would be called, because yes, it's like university administration, but there are many kinds of university administrative roles. And the term I came upon was research development. So not the same as research and development, not R&D, but research development. And that is kind of, I think, what you could say this kind of work is. And yeah, so I kind of started to look into it and what would be required for those roles. But in terms of this role, I actually kind of lucked out. Like the posting came up and somebody shared it with me. And I knew it was something I wanted to do sort of further on in the future, but I thought, well, it's come up now, I might as well apply. And I applied and I got the job. So yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here.
Definitely, the more I talk to people about their career paths, it becomes more apparent that luck definitely plays a role in kind of right time, right place, as long as you align yourself with your background skill set.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned just now that you'd had an interest in communications and writing throughout graduate school, and I know that you were previously involved with the LSCDS writing team. Would you mind telling us a bit more about what you did for the LSCDS and how you came to be involved with the organization?
Yeah, so I first joined LSCDS as just a member of the writing team. I actually don't remember how I found out about the posting or the organization. But yeah, I applied for the role and I got it. And then I went on the next year to be writing team lead, and I think I was lead for a couple of years. And so in that role, what I did at the time was we worked in a team to, well, number one, cover LSCDS events. So especially sort of the monthly seminar series, I think it was called, or maybe it's still called. But also other events. We also wrote about, I don't know, just topics of interest, other events around U of T, just like other career paths people might not know a lot about. Some people published interviews with, about people's sort of journeys post-graduation. Yeah, it was a little bit, it wasn't super, I guess, directed, but the goal was sort of just to educate and to kind of also kind of promote LSCDS and get the word out about what was happening.
Cool. Did you have, I mean, I guess you're on the writing team, so your main job was writing, like you said, covering events and doing more specific career interview pieces, but were there any experiences you had throughout the LSCDS, whether it was a specific event or maybe it was just your time on the writing team that were kind of impactful for you in terms of honing a skill set or connecting you with certain people or exposing you to different careers you might not have known about?
Yeah, I think one event that really stands out is there was a panel on careers in government. And that one was really, really popular. I remember that event being just packed. And I think the reason, and I covered that event for the writing team, and actually the Faculty of Medicine, I can't remember, it was like the Faculty of Medicine newsletter or something like that, asked me to actually cover it for their website. So that article went up on their website. So that was also cool. But the event in itself was really interesting because I didn't know a lot about what a scientist could do in terms of, when working for the government. And we had someone on that panel who was a scientist for the government, and she had, I think, like a small lab. There was someone who worked as a science writer, and there was somebody who worked on sort of developing a program for one of the large funding agencies. And just learning about that and kind of just seeing more of what was out there, learning about these jobs that I think you don't hear about very often. That was very fun. It was very interesting. But just, yeah, in terms of, in general, I found that the large sort of networking reception and the small mini networking events, I found those also, just participating in them, I didn't organize them, but being part of them was very useful because my question, yeah, when I hear about a career, I just want to know what's the day-to-day of it, what really goes into it. You can kind of describe it broadly, but the day-to-day tasks are sort of what define it. So yeah, those are really useful.
Cool. Yeah, I noticed just creeping through your LinkedIn that you have a lot of writing experiences like adjacent to your graduate school experience. And I think there's a lot of people in my department, at least, who are interested in kind of science writing and dipping their toe in it. So I was wondering how you went about getting various writing experiences, whether it was being a freelance writer or editor. I don't know if that was within your graduate school time or just following it, but how do you sort of bridge from going from something like the LSCDS writing team to a more even more professional setting?
Yeah, I guess I could say overall the sort of volunteer, extracurricular, unpaid writing that I did really helped me get the the paid writing work and then the full-time job that I got. So yeah, definitely, just because an experience doesn't pay anything, you're still building your portfolio. So it's something just like writing for the newspaper. U of T has many newspapers. You can always reach out and volunteer to just like freelance for them and submit news articles. I at one point attended a small workshop on science writing and science journalism. I learned a little bit about what it takes to write a good science news article. I just kind of took every opportunity I could find and just I applied. Yeah, I think I just applied to postings that were interesting. Also, towards the end of my time as a graduate student, along with some other students, we started this sort of blog for our department, and that was also really cool. It was a really useful writing experience. So yeah, anything that it takes to build your portfolio helps. And then in terms of freelancing, I did start to do that after I graduated, although I probably could have done it if I had known a bit more as a grad student. And that also, I can't even remember. I think it was a combination of just looking around and also talking to people. Sometimes if you talk to your colleagues, you might find out about some really interesting stuff. Yeah, sorry, I hope that answers your question. It's a combination of just constantly searching and looking and researching and just networking and, just talking to your friends, talking to the other people in your program, because you never know what they know or what they've heard of.
No, I love the notion of just take every opportunity you can to, if writing is something you're interested in, because it's all building your portfolio.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it sounds like you really made the most of your grad experience with all of these different kind of volunteer and co-curricular activities. Do you have, like, looking back on graduate school, is there any advice you would give to yourself kind of from a different perspective now about how to best, navigate the grad school experience to help prepare for your career?
Yeah, looking back, I think I would just have advised would advise, sorry, I don't know how to phrase that. I would have started earlier.
Okay.
So I did get involved in a lot of sort of writing projects and sort of freelance writing, but this was all towards the end of my PhD and after my PhD, and or most of it was. But yeah, I wish I had started earlier, because not only do you learn more, but also it's just kind of good to learn, good to research, what careers you might be interested in. You might always change your mind, but it's just good to work towards something larger than maybe, or just different than and beyond your, your goals within your PhD, to kind of, I don't know, maybe it would have maybe grounded me a little bit and given me like a long-term goal to work towards, because I think it's easy to get bogged down and just only think about your thesis or, publishing a paper, but it's always good to work towards something, in addition to that, and thinking about your life postgraduate program is very important. So yeah, I wish I had started earlier.
That's useful advice, and it's the advice you hear a lot is start early, whatever it is, whether it's just exploring by going to like career seminars and that sort of thing. Like, everything you learn is helpful. Cool. Well, we're getting close to time, so maybe I'll end with one last question. I guess you're relatively new to your new role at UTM, but is there any aspect of your job that's you would say is your favorite part of the job so far?
I think my favorite part is, I guess, yeah, working on large collaborative sort of grants and projects. I always liked, writing, and I always liked learning about many different kind of diverse scientific topics. So working on something interdisciplinary is just kind of very cool and exciting. And yeah, just feeling like you're supporting research, you're supporting researchers, but also kind of including that sort of strategic and kind of aspect to it, thinking about, you know, the project in sort of broad terms. I don't know, all that's really cool, really exciting. Yeah, that's the best I can say.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, I can imagine it's cool to look at things from a broader perspective. We definitely get like a little tunnel vision in each of our different labs focused on what just we're working on. So I'm sure people benefit a lot from your work. Awesome. Well, we're about time, so I'll end it here. But I want to say again, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. This is great.
Awesome.